and as an adult now, seeing lots and so many things that both of my parents gave up in order to foster my life and kind of give themselves for me to grow. But on a basic level, just to feel loved in your childhood is something that many people don't have, or that experience.
Hi, I'm your host and welcome to Soundtracks, the podcast where we share the personal connections we have with music and how these connections influence our emotions, our experiences, and our memories. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for trusting me with your time. So this is a listener submission episode, really short, really sweet, and I am joined by Jonjan, whose episode is the one before this one, basically. So just go listen to it if you haven't yet. It's a great episode. So just go, stop right now, and go now. Thank you. So I'm just gonna read out the submission, and then we're just gonna talk about it. Yeah. Cool. So the title of the submission is "No Such Thing as a Life That's Better Than Yours," and the song is "Love Yourz" by J. Cole, and it reads, "As a young lad, I grew up in an average household. By this I mean not everything was accessible to me as a young man. You know, my childhood, I always wanted a lot of things like toys, go out with friends on fantastic school trips. But to me, it never came easy, or sometimes it just never came. So with that, I'd feel misfortune because I always saw how easy the other kids got things they pleased. I've been a J. Cole fan for the longest time, and it's all thanks to my uncle. He always played J. Cole in the car and in his room, so I just got hooked on Cole at a young age. So would always listen to his albums when we could. J. Cole dropped FHD Forest Hill Drive album in 2014, which I still think is his best album till this day. When the album dropped, my uncle and I literally took the car and went on a drive just to listen to the album from start to finish. Mad, right? So when the song Love Yourz played, bro, I swear I played that song over 3 times during that drive. I bet my uncle was like, yeah, that's the Cole effect. I know I might have been too young to fully grasp the wordplay and lyrics, but I know for a fact that I understood what Cole was saying. The song talks about appreciating the little that you have, appreciating life as it is. J. Cole says in the song, and I quote, "No such thing as a life that's better than yours." That sentence has always played a major role in the person I am today. The song has shifted me from a person or kid that was never satisfied with what he had, never acknowledged the sacrifices my family did for me. As a kid, I never acknowledged that the shelter, food, school, etc. that my family provided to me was another kid's wish. I was so fixated on what I couldn't have that I forgot about the blessings I already had. Love Yourz has changed my perspective of life since the day that since that day, and I can accurately remember it. December 10th, 2014. I started appreciating life as it is and kept my feet grounded. There's not a month that passes without me listening to Love Yourz till date because it brings me back to reality whenever I feel I've lost touch of it. And that's my story. That is the submission. So well written. I think that, I don't know, I think it's one of those things where I read it and I was like, I want to do this one today. Because I think we are stuck in this unfortunate social media loop that is super toxic, right? And there is always a moment where you compare yourself, whether it is when you're a kid or even now as an adult. I feel like it's even more so now that everyone's lives are in front of your face all the fucking time. And you're like, okay, what about me? And you're like, you feel like you should have achieved X, Y, and Z at this time. And you should be here instead of there. And it's just all bombarding. And there is no we don't tend to kind of sit down and just be happy or like even be grateful for what we do have, right? Sometimes things may suck, and I completely understand that, but a lot of us have the ability to reflect on like the great things that we do actually have.
4 things immediately strike me about this, and that was so nice to hear, and yeah, really well written. I think firstly, the dude who wrote this sounds like he has, I don't know, he sounds incredibly mature with his emotions and his understanding of appreciation of life, and those things that we don't appreciate as kids, and all the things we wanted, all the things we remember that we didn't get, and of course we don't remember the absolute blessings that we did get, until hopefully, you know, we're older and we kind of see these, and maybe we become parents ourselves and these kind of things, or we're in family situations ourselves. That resonates with me massively. Number 2, the concept of just driving with, be it a family member, but maybe a close friend or something, but especially with a family member, that's really interesting, because sharing musical passion with a family member is it's something I didn't have. I didn't particularly have a little bit, not as on a musician level, but that just sounds amazing. Just to drive, just to be like, yeah, we're just grooving to this. Yeah, we're just gonna groove. It doesn't matter where we go. That's beautiful. That's formative, and I think it comes through in this. That's awesome. Number 3, where I live is called Forest Hill. So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. And number 4, just on a, I don't know, on a self-growth kind of level, just being able to identify these things is, yeah, I don't know, it's very indicative of where I want to be in life in general. I'm turning 35 tomorrow, and I think this makes me think about these kind of things. So we always have the ability to look at the neighbor and see what they might have and what we might not. My times in Latin America quite recently, and a couple of years ago I was around Colombia, I found myself being jealous of the vibrancy, or my perceived vibrancy, of the culture there, despite in many ways on a very consumerist level, maybe on a physical level in terms of physical things, there was not so much wealth, let's say, that we have in a place like London or something like this, and it made me completely reassess of what do I associate with that physical wealth, what worldly goodness does it bring me. And these people, they've got music in their soul and through their bones, and they are expressing happiness through dance and social life, and incredibly so. And on the physical realm, they might not have as much as a place like London in some ways, but they have so much more, and they are so infinitely more happy than all the consumerist shackles that we have here. So that's what this track and this, especially the submission, kind of makes me feel. Yeah, I think it's quite a mature, maybe transition into adulthood on a mental level, if you can kind of observe these things in yourself and realize these things.
Yeah. When you're talking about going to Latin America, and like, okay, they don't have all the physical kind of wealth stuff, but in terms of like community and vibrancy and love, it's all there. I like to go home to Namibia in December, and my mother's side of the family, lots of the people that, you know, are there, like, live in the village, right? So there's not so much focus on like stuff, right? And there's a huge community, and it's always for me a very, you know, big contrast between me being in London and everyone feeling to me very like individual, and like it's just me, and I need to get where I need to get to. I'm not gonna help you, and it's just like very different from when I go home. There's like so much love, and there's so much like connection, and sometimes when I feel I'm lacking that, I'm like, at least I can go home and experience that, right? Not so many people can be surrounded by love that is not attached to anything all the time. And I can like, fine, go home for a week and see my grandmother and see my cousin, and people who are genuinely just so happy to see me. And I can experience that level of like love from them. And one of the reflections that I did when I went home was that like, I know how to be there for people. I know how to love. I know how to be with people because I come from such a loving place. And when you are in London and it's fast and it's like people are for themselves and to themselves, it's very easy for you to lose that. And I'm trying so hard to not lose that. From my patience, number one, I feel my patience is waning being in London because no one here is patient, right? Yeah. So it becomes a you thing. Like you also aren't patient. And you also like giving people grace. People in London don't give people grace. Well, like if you fall down, no one gives a fuck. Like you fall in, it's just you and your God. Get up and go where you're going to go. And that's not how I grew up. And it's trying to like make sure that those qualities in me don't go away because I feel there are lots of the reasons why, you know, we are human. Like I'd want to help and I would want to, you know, be someone who can give a shit and is bothered. You know what I mean? If someone is lost, be the one to help and that kind of stuff. And just, being able to reflect on not only like the good things in life that I have, all the physical stuff and everything my parents gave me, but also like my personality and my traits that I have and appreciating those and just like wanting them to kind of shine out more and just do that shit more often because it can get lost.
I totally know what you mean, and the pace of life in London, and a very quite self-orientated culture, let's say, of London, and many major cities, I would say as well. In my experiences of being around some major cities, maybe major Western cities, I think core to what you said, and again something that I feel so much as also someone who grew up in not a rich household at all, and as an adult now seeing lots and so many things that both of my parents gave up in order to foster my life and kind of give themselves for me to grow, but on a basic level, just to feel loved in your childhood is something that many people don't have, or that experience. Okay, maybe that one time you didn't get that games console, or you didn't get that game where your mum said, "Oh no, you're not going to that party that everyone else is going to, and it's going to be the absolute best house party, and that girl's going to be there, and then that means you won't get with her."
Exactly.
And something like this. And all of that just falls by the wayside when you realise that, just on a very human level, if you're lucky enough to have a childhood where you felt loved, that's infinitely valuable, and you don't really realize it at the time,
and until it's like you're here and you're like, oh shit, because lots of people sometimes in interaction you can kind of tell the kind of person who didn't have that love, right, in the way that they treat other people or the way that they live their own lives. And it's not one of, like when you are growing up, like me and my mom, we clash a lot because we're very much the same personality wise. We just doesn't work. Like I have like 2 weeks with my mom at home and then I have to leave because it just doesn't. But my mom loves us down. Like she'll do anything for us and she has done anything for us. But I know what that love is, even if we don't get along a lot of times because personality wise, we're human. She loves hard and she loves deep, and I'm able to do that myself because I've seen it, right? I've seen what it is for someone to give themselves for other people and for their family and be a champion of other people, and just being able to see that and be that for other people is just it's just great, man. It's great. It's nice to love, and it's nice to be loved as well.
100%. And something we don't give enough thought to in adult life or looking back. Also, just want to touch on quickly the concept that the submission said, where others, his peers, I think, around him, he said they were getting things easier, or they were getting the things that he wanted, maybe without effort. That was effortless for them. I think if it can be to an extent where the discipline required for he himself or someone who can't get those things to kind of invest more time or whatever needs to happen for them to get those things, or learn that, okay, for some people it might be easy, but for me it won't be, and that's okay. Like to be okay with that, and learn that when you do invest the time and then you do get those things that you worked for, whatever it is, be it a physical thing, be it an achievement, I don't know, that builds a discipline in you, and that builds a respect for yourself, for your time, and for what others do have and what others don't have. I think that can be very valuable. And someone who's just given everything, let's say on a golden platter, or a child who's given everything without having to work for it in the longer term, I don't think that's particularly healthy, because that isn't really how the world works in the wider form. I don't think that breeds a positive outset of your character.
A good kind of adult functionalities and yeah.
I to me, I liken that exactly to an instrument. That guitar solo that you want to do, you can't play it at the beginning, but you need to put the time and the effort into that, and the guitar that you're given as your first guitar might be a hunk of shit. It might be absolutely terrible, and the other kid in class might get that really expensive guitar, and it's really easier to play, and it sounds way better, and I'm practicing on this, I'm never going to learn this. And then you put time. Yeah, the other guy might get there easier, but then you've become a better player because you've been playing on the crappy guitar, and actually that inherently makes you a better player. And then you probably get to the end goal faster because you were up against bigger obstacles, and you jumped over them. You bypassed them through sheer effort and probably skill. You foster the skill. I don't know. That's what.
And the kind of accomplishment for you to take that
100%.
off when you do it, like
100%.
Against whatever odds it was. It's like I did that,
100%.
and it allows you to, like, that feeling is, I think, the reason why we do the difficult thing, right? Where you work hard at something, and when you see the result, you're like, shit, it was me.
100%.
I did that.
Yeah. And that's kind of taken away if things are made too easy.
Yeah, like ease is nice, but it's not. You don't get growth from ease. That's the thing, right? And not all of us are very blessed enough to have the shelter of, like, money and influence to, like, help us propel through life. Well, very, very little of us do. So having to learn how to grind, even from an earlier age, be it seeing your parents grind or just being aware of the grind, will allow us to do it ourselves and know what reward feels like.
Totally.
So yeah, no, really, this was a great submission. A long one, but I really like it. The whole, like, the journey. It's like I took you from, like, a little boy to growth as an adult, and it's just through one song, which is why I think, like, music is just
that's so emblematic of
just
the
like,
value of music.
It's one thing, like, one song he heard in 2014. 10 years later, this is what the song means to him,
so true.
And he's continued to play the song for 10 years
and learn from it.
From it.
That's awesome.
And every time you hear it, like, love yours, love what you have. And it's just, it's great. Shout out to J. Cole, and as well as the submitter. Thank you so much for trusting me and trusting us with your story. And again, guys, if you want to submit your own soundtracks or your own reflections and stories, please do. The link is in the show notes. If you just want to write on Instagram, also, I'm there all the time. Not a great thing, but I am there all the time. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. I've been Tendai.
I've been Jonjan.
And this has been Soundtracks. Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. Thank you.